Hello everyone, it's Thumper the Rabid Rabbit. Hey, welcome to my dead corn farm. Yeah. I'm here at Harvest Fibers. Now, I know some of you have been asking about farming and genetics and crops and blah blah blah. I just thought I'd do a quick primer for all of you who don't want to go figure this shit out. There's lots of posts out there now about the details of this. I did a little bit of testing to see how true some of those were and test some of my own numbers here. Here's the basics. Plant shit, water it. If you have fertilizer, great, use it. It helps speed things up. All these plants have genetics now. This thing at the top of the stats. These are also available online to look up if you need to know, but W is bad, means it takes more water. X is bad, that'll replace other good traits. The good ones you want are the G. G is faster growth. H is hardier, which means it can stand up to poor soil, poor water, no fertilizer, bad light, that kind of thing better. Y is what you really want, that's yield. A Y gets you more corn or more pumpkins or whatever per plant. So finding a lot of Ys is good. Ys and Gs would be a great combination. Watch out if you plant anything with red next to a green. Reds are 2x on genetic overtake. So if you have an X next to a green, it's going to replace the green with its X. You're going to need at least 2 greens or more to replace an X with a corresponding green. So plant a couple of Ys around an X and it'll replace it. But I'm not going to get into that shit. That's another whole video we'll need to get into later. Let me tell you about the yield and timing, though. That's what I was most interested in testing out. Corn, give or take, because if you have Gs, it'll go faster, but corn takes around 2 hours for a crop to hit the fruiting stage when it starts producing corn. And it takes about 45 minutes to get the maximum yield of corn out of it. So basically, if you plant it, you need about 2 hours and 45 minutes to get to ready for full harvest. Pumpkins and hemp don't quite take as long. They're about an hour and a half to hit fruiting, but then they do need another 40 to 45 minutes to hit their full output. So, you know, little less than the corn. So 2 hour growth, about 45 minutes to fully ripe. These are about an hour and a half average. Again, having some G's helps out. And then another half hour, 45 minutes. So you need 245 for a full crop of corn, average. You need about 2 hours and 15 for full crops of pumpkins and hemp, average. Potatoes seem to be a little bit quicker, and they're a lot hardier. They're about an hour, and then about a half hour for hitting ripe. So if you want a fast crop with a good yield, potatoes are fast. So 2 hour and 45 minutes for corn, average 2:15 average for these pumpkins and hemp, and about an hour and a half average for potatoes. That's roughly what I've come up with various test crops. Now more G's are faster, fertilizer makes it better, blah blah blah. But if you're keeping it watered and it's got sunlight, those are some rough time estimates. The one thing that you'll find is consistent across all these plants is the ripe stage is 4 hours, or maybe just a little bit less than 4 hours. It goes about 25% per hour in the ripe stage. You can see this guy's getting up on 88% there, 94%. These are about to go to dying stage. So once you know, this may take 2 hours and 45 minutes, but you have about 4 hours to harvest. So as long as you come back within 6.5 hours, you should be good for harvesting. And then again here, these may be hour and a half, 2:15 to get to full fruiting, but then you've got another 4 hours to pick it before they die. Same thing with the potatoes. The potatoes have about a 4 hour ripe stage. So they all seem to have a roughly 4 hour ripe stage, regardless of what plant type it is, regardless of its genetics. You got about 4 hours to pick them once they're fully ripe. And then you'll also notice that the dying stage is consistent. Dying progresses at about 1% a minute, regardless of the plant type. So if you were letting them die intentionally to collect plant fibers, which, plant fibers are great for composting. You'll get good fertilizer out of those. It's probably the next best thing to the horse poo. So if you don't have horse poo, then collecting plant fibers is another good way. I don't know why you grow it just to die. You may as well harvest it and then pick up the the fibers after it's dead, because you can get both. But you have about 90-ish minutes to harvest from the dead stage, because it's about 1% a minute. So there you go. I don't want to run on any longer here, but that's some rough observations from my initial experience with it. So plant shit, water shit, put lights on it, grow it indoors if you can with artificial lights and sprinklers, so you don't have to worry about daylight and people griefing and stealing your shit. But yeah, so summary, about 2 hours and 45 minutes for full crop of corn, about 2:15 for pumpkins and hemp, about an hour and a half for potatoes, and then you have about 4 hours to pick your crop, and then you just start over and do it again. And after you harvest, if you find ones with lots of good green traits, lots of good G's and Y's, take some clippings, replant those. That's good to have. Just keep reusing those good genetics. And for the shitty ones, just harvest them, and when you harvest them, they'll turn into dying, and then pick up their plant fibers and put your plant fiber in your composter to get yourself some fertilizer. So if you're looking to get started with farming, there's some basics that you need to know. Not super highly detailed, not super highly accurate either, but there's the rough start. If you're new to farming, that's what you can expect for timing and what you need to do. So I hope that helps some of you get started on growing stuff. Good luck, and don't suck.